Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Flip podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're going to be flipping through a story talking about DOGE and the potential approval that most people in the U.S. public are actually giving the organization. And of course, we will end today with our Daily Delight, a story meant to leave you feeling positive, ready to take on the day. But that's enough rambling from me. Let's jump into our daily debate. So far, has DOGE done a good job or a bad job? Throw it down there in the comment section. I want to hear what people have to say before you get biased by the article that we are about to read. So, throw your opinion down there. Then let's actually jump into the article that comes from our friends over at the Daily Signal. Headline reads, "Wow, CNN Henry's Enton totally surprised that majority of Americans want Trump and DOGE to cut government." Now, what would be the initial thought when you hear something like that? Well, why would people want the government to be cut? I wonder if there's any particular reason. Maybe it's the fact that if the government spends less money, they have to tax us less. Oh my gosh, more money in people's pockets, less money going to the government and programs that you may not necessarily agree with. Why would that ever be popular? I wonder. I'm just a little curious. Is it something about possibly being able to send your kids to a better education because you're saving money on your taxes every single year? And does this have something to do with being able to possibly buy a new car, or that, be able to afford the food that you want to be able to give your children or eat yourselves? Maybe you want to go out to McDonald's or some fancy restaurant an extra one time a month. All of these sort of things are easy to imagine why you would want to do them. Not everybody wants to, but a lot of people do. And then when you start asking the questions, well, where does the money go when it gets to the government? And you hear some of these programs, of course you're going to say, why do we need to spend the money there? And when somebody comes in and says, I want to cut these programs, or I want to cut a large majority of these wasteful programs, then I think it's pretty easy to track along why you would want a organization like DOGE to operate. Then again, some people don't understand. Some people actually like government. Some people think government is a good thing overall. Maybe you think government's a good thing 40% of the time. Maybe you even think 45% of the time. But there are some people who think government is good 50, 55, 60, 65% of the time. So it's hard to imagine that there's an organization that's actually cutting the amount of spending that the government is doing and cutting into some of these different organizations and shutting them down, or at least limiting what they're able to do. They hear that and they don't necessarily think that's a good thing because they think government is inherently good. So that explains why this other perspective is out there and why it's shocking when they hear about polls that possibly say the government is a bad thing in most people's minds, and therefore when the government is being cut, it's a good thing. So let's actually go to one of the quotes here. Quote, "This, to me, was one of the more shocking figures that I saw. Made me go, whoa, wait a minute, hold on a second, whoa. Americans on Trump and DOGE efforts. Musk and DOGE should influence government spending and operations would like this." So the amount of people that would actually like this, 54%. The majority said that that he should. Enton told host Kate Bowden, citing a February CBS News YouGov poll. Quote, "How about approve of Trump trying to cut staff at government agencies? Again, you get a majority here, 51%, end quote." And let's be clear, that's not a staggering majority. We're not sitting at 60%, 80% of the population, but this probably falls mostly along party lines, more or less. I would expect, if it was actually party lines, I would expect it to be somewhere around, maybe 43, 44%, and maybe a little bit less, maybe 40. So that's still enough moderates, or possibly some Democrats, willing to come across and say, actually, no, I kind of like the ideas of what Trump and Musk are doing. And I think it really is the simple explanation that I provided earlier. Are more tax dollars, or at least less of your money, going to leave your pocket? And is it possible that they're doing a good job on messaging? Yeah, probably. That's probably what it is. Now, CNN and all these other organizations are trying to push back. They're providing counter examples. I think there's a good one here that they mentioned here at the end of the article, because they are trying to cast all of these cuts to things that are necessary, that are really important programs. I want to actually read this here quote, and I think that's the reason why you don't see it when it comes to Musk and Doge. You see, in fact, that the majority believe he should have some influence because they believe the plurality believe that he is cutting wasteful spending, not necessary programs that Democrats are arguing. He said, once again, this is Enton. And then we go on to the final two paragraphs, which possibly elucidate the mentality of someone who is arguing that a lot of these programs are necessary. Quote, moreover, Texas Rep. Jasmine Crockett asserted in February that she does not believe there is substantial waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. CNN anchor Paula Brown said in February that her network confirmed DOGE had cut, quote, gender-affirming healthcare in Guatemala, teaching people in Kazakhstan to fight back against online trolls, voluntary male circumcisions in Mozambique, creating work opportunities for young LGBTQ plus people in Serbia. Who do you think that your money should go to those programs? It's a serious question. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to mock anyone. Do you think your money should go to those programs? I think all of those programs sound terrible. I don't think that we should go and try to teach people in Kazakhstan how to stand up against online trolls. Guess what? You learn that by operating on the internet. The circumcisions in Mozambique, I am so happy that we want to give people elective circumcision surgeries. It's not necessarily our job. It's not our duty. Making sure that LGBTQ plus IA people have jobs in a different country. I could see an argument for making sure that other people, anybody has jobs. But the fact that we're doing hyper specific location trainings, or should I say hyper specific location influencing, basically. So when I say that, I mean it's in a location and then it's hyper specifically targeted at a certain segment of the population. Come on. What are we doing? That is, first off, that is unfair. What if we're going to go and give jobs to people everywhere, or make jobs, or give them training to get jobs? Why would we do it to just one segment of the population? Yeah, you can make an argument that they're underserved, but at the end of the day, the tax dollars have to represent. And this is an opinion. This is not a fact in law. The tax dollars should represent every single person that is giving them, not just one segment of the population that's giving their tax dollars overseas there. So you can see why, yeah, some of these programs are extremely, extremely wasteful, or at least appear that way to most people that are investigating them. And then you have Democratic senators, or in this case, a House member, who's saying, no. All these programs, they are not wasteful. There is very little fraud and abuse. And you could argue that all those programs I just listed are not fraud and abuse, but I would definitely argue that they are wasteful. And the Democrats are treading a very careful line there, trying to say that no, these programs have to continue on. As to why that is, it could be that they want to maintain the current level of spending, that some of these initiatives are things they actually believe in. The argument from some people on the right, which I think is partially true, partially a little disingenuous, is that a lot of these left-wing non-government organizations are actually receiving lots of grants from the federal government, which is part of the ecosystem of people on the left. These people operate with them at galas. They go out and they do different parties with them. And I don't mean like, oh, rager parties. I mean legitimate fundraising parties, things like that. And they're friends to some degree, and you could see how it would be unfortunate and how you would probably want to not get rid of your friend's program, their little gravy train grant system that's coming through. So I think that while that argument is overused sometimes, I do think it is a legitimate thing that they have to focus on. I'm sure there are plenty of right-wing nonprofits that also get money from the U.S. grant system and possibly would not like it if their funding was taken away by a left-wing president who comes in, and says, let's start cutting. So I get where they're coming from, but that doesn't mean that it is okay. And it doesn't mean that the average American person is going to actually say, oh, no. It's totally fine. It's totally fine if we just keep sending our money to these random places overseas and paying these nonprofits salaries. So, with that, let's jump into our daily delight. This one comes from outdoors.com. Headline reads, Beloved Eagles are now parents. See Eagles live on Nest Cam. And honestly, these eagles are absolutely adorable. There is no doubt in my mind that they will live long, strong lives, especially given the fact that we're watching them so closely. If you want to go, there's actually a live video feed that you can go watch with this one. The mother actually fed them on camera the other day. All adorable things. And probably by this point, the third one has hatched. So if you want to see that little cute ball of American joy, aka the bald eagle, you can go to the link in the description below, that like and subscribe button. Also down there, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Casts, and Podvine. The links are all there. And if you want to listen to international news, you can come back to 6 and 6 on Tuesday and Thursday on this channel. That's 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. So with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe. Don't die.